Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And we are back with Love is Blind. This is season 8, episodes 10, 11, 12. And 12 ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. So we are going to talk about Ben and Sarah, but we don't know what's going to happen till next week. If they get married or not.
We'll see.
All right. So, Brooke, any high level thoughts you'd like to share? How are you feeling about these people?
Well, I'm still like Team Lauren. I'm still upset with Dave. I don't think Dave has learned anything or changed.
No.
He kind of jerks her around a little bit more.
Yeah.
Before he finally dumps her and then kind of tries to come back around. She's like, no.
Yeah.
Which I was glad about that because I thought, oh no, don't have some kind of, reconciliation. But, the other people, I like these people. I'm rooting for these people. I felt like, especially the women, I felt like we're really trying to go deep with these men. Like this is their last chance to go deep and get some answers. And I didn't really feel like the men were responding.
A little bit. Yeah, I can see that. I know what you're talking about. I think one thing that's kind of interesting is, they've had seasons in Chicago. But other than Chicago, I don't think there's been any other seasons that are the Midwest. And one thing that we're seeing there's this real theme of people having a very hard time wrapping their brains around, which I understand, why someone would want to do this. I mean, I think we've seen this is the first time in in a Love is Blind season where we've really touched upon sort of, and obviously it's because it's season 8, sort of the meta parts of it, that there's fame involved and that people have that everyone has thoughts and feelings about Love is Blind and the process of it before the person even goes on it. And I don't know if it's because where they are in the country and maybe this is just a generalization and I'm way off. I don't know. Or if it's because the show is this far along. But it seems to have a different feel. That's just my 2 cents.
I feel like people have always been skeptical. I mean, remember Mama Marissa, who threatened to cut off what's his name?
Yeah, but that was just last season. I'm talking about those early seasons, like Atlanta, Chicago, right? Like it felt.
I don't know.
It felt very different.
I feel like the parents have always been skeptical. The families have always been skeptical. And I don't think that has anything to do with being in the Midwest. I think it's just that, as a parent, if your child said they were going to do this. I think any
Mhm.
parent who wasn't skeptical and afraid for their child would not be a good parent.
Mhm.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it's
I guess so.
because
Okay.
there's a lot of heartbreak because look at the track record of this show.
Yes.
It's not good. And a lot
Yes.
of people get their hearts broken through this process. And so, you know, they're right to be skeptical, I think. And yeah, it's kind of weird, like, because some of the parents didn't want to be on camera. It seemed like quite a few of them didn't want to be on camera and maybe showed up later. Because, you know, we see it at the end of episode 12, Ben and Sarah's wedding. All of a sudden, Ben's family is there.
Yeah. Ben's
We'd never
family's
seen
there
them before.
Yeah.
So I guess they got on board. But, or maybe it's just editing. Maybe they did have footage of her interacting with his family, and it just wasn't as good as the interaction with her family. And so they had to choose. You know, there's only so much time you can use, and maybe it was just better for TV.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. There's some couples that they really kind of psyched us up that there was going to be problems. And they even tried to make it seem like there would be problems, and there were no problems.
Yet.
There's been, okay. So there just seems to be a little bit like, you know, and we can start with, where should we start? Let's start with the couples that are like Daniel and Taylor. I mean, I don't have anything to report.
We're going through the motions here.
Yeah. You know, they went mini golfing, you know, and Daniel says, do you want to imagine what our first song is? And Taylor goes, oh, that's fun. I mean, these two are middle-aged already. Like they're ready to.
They have their Christmas card photos already.
Oh yeah. Their gift, oh God, I forget the trinkets for their wedding. They're going to give everyone an ornament with a picture of them a Christmas card ornament. Yes. So that everyone could put it on their tree.
Yeah.
And,
they have their final date is that
ice skating.
They're out ice skating, and then they eat dinner in the middle of the ice rink, which I can't believe nobody slipped walking out there. That seemed treacherous, but no, I mean, there's really not much to say about these two. They are perfect for each other. They are obviously goo goo gaga, head over heels. I don't know what else there is to say.
I mean, I don't know. That's it.
Yeah.
I thought her dress was really pretty.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The dress shopping. Yeah. The first one, her mom thought it was a little too revealing. And the second one did look better. It was basically the same dress, but it had a higher, strapless dress neckline on it.
And it did look a little bit better.
It did look better. No, she looked, she said she wanted to look like a princess, like she's on the top of a wedding cake or something. And she did. She looked like the perfect bride. And yeah. What more is there to say about them?
Not much. I don't know what else to say. Those two are not full of drama at all.
No.
But so let's move on to Devin and Virginia, because this one I felt was a lot of faking out. You know, there were a lot of fake outs, because I thought that last scene where they're kind of, kind of quiet with each other, and he's like, oh, well, I had a chance to talk about to ask about the prenup, and he sits down. I thought, okay, this is it. They're breaking up. And he's like, oh, law looks good. Let me sign it. I mean, it was a lot of nothing.
But like when they were in bed, they were lying in bed, and she was I felt, this is like what I said before, I felt like she was really pushing to try to get some more information out of him and to get him to open up. Because she kept asking him, well, how do you feel about this? And how do you feel about that? And then he was like, oh, well, his main concern was, well, how do you feel about our level of intimacy or something like that? And she's like, oh, I think it's fine. And I sort of got the feeling that he didn't think it was fine, because it sounds like they haven't had sex.
Yeah, he wants to have sex.
He wants to have sex, and I think he wants to do it before they get married.
Yeah, and I think maybe she might not want to.
Yeah, clearly. She says she's fine with it. And I don't know, their conversations are just so like, oh, well, how do you feel about this? Oh, I'm fine. Well, what about this? Do you think oh, yeah, everything's so. And it's like, come on. Like, I don't believe everything is fine.
When I was watching, so the first scene we see with them, they're meeting Virginia's mom, Mary,
Mhm.
and Mary has a ton of questions, and
Yeah.
Mary's like very open and but skeptical, and trying to put it all together. And this is what I realized. This is what I wrote down, which is what's so hard about this whole thing is all they're doing is talking. And that's why it's so boring to watch. I find myself drifting off because there's just sort of talking about things, talking about how they think they're going to feel about something in the future, talking about what they think, how they're going to think about something in the future. Like all of these things that right now, honestly, you can't say. You cannot say. I can tell you how I feel about something right now, but I don't know how I'm going to feel about something 2 or 3 years from now or 10 years from now. And because their entire relationship is talking, it's almost kind of like the only way this would work is if you'd have to be someone who is really mentally healthy and very, very self-aware. So self-aware that they are able to articulate and describe what they think, what they feel, and be very rooted in those ideas. And that's the problem. The problem is, that's all I was thinking was, Mary, you can ask 1,000,001 questions, but until Devin is faced to do something, you don't know if any of this is true or not. I mean, this is the part that drives me crazy.
Yeah. And I think Devin in particular, he just looks like a deer in headlights to me. He does not have that self-awareness. He does not, I don't think Devin knows who he is at all. And he is just kind of going along, saying what he thinks he should say. And, they had
the political discourse.
Oh, well, we'll get to that too. Yeah. But they had a scene they did a thing where, last time on Love is Blind, and they replayed that scene where Virginia goes to his apartment for the first time and sees the shoes. And I didn't catch this the first time, but she said to him, oh, so how much is all this going to cost me? Me. And I was like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I disagree. She knows, I think she's really, she's, we talked about this on the last episode. Like she's light years ahead of him.
Yeah. He's
very young. I think he's young even for 28. I think he's more like in the 24, 25 range. And he's not that self-aware. And I just feel like he doesn't know what's going on half the time or what he should be thinking.
Well, yeah. I mean, it really came out when they were having this conversation about politics, and she was asking him some very direct questions. And doesn't this sound familiar? This sounds a little bit like Ben and some of these other men that we've heard about, which is he doesn't really think about politics all that much. And, she was very direct about what's been going on. She said, I didn't think that we would have to worry about abortion rights. I didn't think that we would be worrying about gay rights, but now we are, and we're back into it. And she was very direct. She told him, like, this is what I believe. And I think this is a bit of what we're seeing is, I agree with you. I don't think Devin knows what he believes. No. She knows what she believes. He doesn't know what he believes. And that whole abortion issue, you can see he's kind of spinning like, how do I phrase this? How do I say this? Because I don't think I have no idea, but I'm just saying that he may have a very different opinion than she does, but he either doesn't feel comfortable to say it to her, doesn't feel comfortable saying it on camera, or doesn't really understand it or why he feels the way he does. I just wonder if like his parents might have told him, well, this is how we feel about these issues. And so that's how he feels.
He pretty much said, I mean, Virginia's unequivocal, and she is a person of faith, but she was very unequivocal about how she completely supports abortion rights, no matter what. And she even said something about, because she's Black, she needs to vote a certain way a lot of the times, despite what her faith might be. It's a self-preservation type thing.
Yep.
And all that he could muster up was, basically he said his parents were Republicans because he said his dad is a Black Republican. He said that.
Yeah.
Because when she brought up the issue of race and he's like, well, there are Black Republicans. My dad's a Black Republican, however he phrased it, but he said that. he said that he felt that the man had the right to, I don't know, weigh in on whether or not a woman has an abortion. And she kind of pushed back on that and said, well, not really. I mean, I guess you have the right to know. And I don't even know if she said that. But she really felt like, well, no, you don't really have the right to weigh in. This is my decision. It's not like I'm going to take what I think and take what you think and then contemplate it and then come up with a decision. She was pretty clear about, this is my body. This is my decision. And that was kind of wild, that whole exchange. It was really intense because he has basically been taught, I think, to vote that faith comes first in voting.
Yeah.
And over race, over bodily autonomy, over anything, whatever. And I think that right there was a moment where she probably went,
But I fear that Virginia, and I think it's a shame, and I think this is one of the things that's really, really hard for women, is she's 33, and I think she really feels like, I want to have a child. I want to have a family.
Yeah.
And I want this, and I don't have a lot of time left. Now, Devin has oodles of time. So I am scared that she's going to say yes, and maybe he's going to say no. But if he says no, Virginia, that's the best thing that could ever happen for you. Like, I can really see them not getting married and her meeting someone within the next year that's much more on her level. I could see that. I don't know. I mean, I thought these guys were pretty good shoo-in, but after this, I was like, ooh.
Yeah. But I never really felt they went very deep with each other. Like, their conversations seemed kind of shallow and sort of centered around this idea of, having the same kind of beliefs about faith and family values and wanting to have kids and this and that. But that's just one level. You dig a little bit deeper with them. I think they're very, very different.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then it's a week before the wedding, and she gives him this prenup, and she basically says, well, the wedding's next week. And she gives it to him, and it's like, he says he doesn't really know how to feel, or he doesn't know how he feels about this. I'm like, she brought this up in Honduras.
Right.
All the two of you have been doing is talking about your feelings. This is all I've seen for the last couple weeks. So that's, and I, now that I'm thinking about it, you're right, that I am shocked to hear how many of these men can't seem to know how they feel right now, and somehow think that a week from now, their feelings are going to be very different. What I was talking about earlier was like, it's very hard to know like how you're going to feel about moving to another city 2 or 3 years from now, or a job change or any of that. But like, yeah, in the next couple weeks, your feelings should probably be about the same. I don't know. I just the way he just seemed to be out of it. And then it seemed to be, and then he came back and he's like, oh yeah, well, I had my parents look at it. I mean, that's the other thing. He's got his parents reviewing it. He's 28 years old.
I thought he said that he had an attorney review it.
His parents' attorney.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. His parents are clearly suspect of it because he repeats what they said about it, and what his sister said about it. And yeah, you're right. It's his parents' attorney. It really should be. I mean, at least in California, a prenup's not even valid unless both sides have consult with an attorney prior to signing it. I don't know what the law is in Minnesota, but of course he should have a attorney review it, and she's fine with that. But if it's your parents' attorney, and
I don't know,
it's like, be a big boy, Devin. Like step out a little bit, be a big boy. He's just so childlike to me. Like, she's just so far ahead of him.
And he gives her that, they go on that horse-drawn carriage, and then he gives her that basketball with the jerseys and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's very cute.
Sweet.
But yeah, it's sweet, but it's a little bit like, okay, yeah, like that's where his head is. It's basketball.
Yeah. And he did say he coaches high school basketball.
Okay.
Last week we weren't sure about that. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He has he has a part-time job, barely part-time. Coaches at high schools don't make any money. And then he's an assistant athletic director, probably at like a YMCA or something.
Yeah.
And
then I think he probably coaches some people like independent, like I bet you
personal coaching. Yeah.
I bet you the best money is from personal coaching, but he works at these other jobs.
Yeah. And then goes out and spends $700 every other week on a pair of tennis shoes. So, they're in different places, but
yeah, I don't know about them.
Should we talk about
Monica and Joey?
Oh, sure. I was gonna say, should we talk about the wedding dresses like at the end globally?
Yeah,
because
I have. Yeah, I mean, I was going to talk about Dave and Lauren and Ben and Sarah since they have the most, and then there's the whole group dynamic situation.
Okay.
But I don't know if we should talk about that after Dave and Lauren because that's kind of what happens afterwards. I don't know. Let's talk about Monica and Joey though.
Okay.
Because I mean, this one, I don't know what to make of these two. We see Nicole; she's back, and she's less frosty. She is taking engagement photos for them as a gift, and I guess Monica, after the whole incident where she made the comment about Joey playing the part, or she had these criticisms about Joey, Monica said she was really angry with her sister, but her sister did apologize, and then she apologizes to Joey for her snap judgment. But we see from scenes of next week that sister is still, she's still got opinions.
She's still salty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is what was really bugging me because Joey is saying to his friends, like, he's like, yeah, I'm just taking everything day by day. I don't know if it's going to be a yes until I'm right there. And so that makes complete sense of why now we hear Monica going, well, I'm holding back a little bit because I'm not getting any validation from him, because I agree with her. I too would be like, wait a second, you don't know like how you feel. I mean, I think it would be one thing if the two of them had a relationship like Dave and Lauren, where everything's been up and down and so crazy, but you guys have had a very somewhat smooth thing. So,
I think it's been smooth because they haven't really gone that deep. Like they finally get into talking about their love languages.
Yes.
And she talks about, I think like physical touch and, I think that maybe there's some things that she's missing from him.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times she's told him this, if she's just now telling him this, but she's basically telling him that he doesn't communicate with her in the way that she wants to be communicated with.
Because he doesn't validate her. And so because he never validates her or says any of that, she doesn't feel safe. And so she's holding back because she's so worried about getting her heart broken, which I'm sure he feels on some level. But like he said, what was interesting though, he said his love languages were acts of service and words of affirmation. And the minute he said words of affirmation, I'm like, okay, this is her, right? She jumped right into that one. And she used that as her starting point to basically say, hey, that's mine too.
I like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And quite frankly, you're not affirming me ever. So what you going to do?
Well, yeah, they always seem like they're just on like a fun, like, second or third date or something. I don't feel like they ever go really deep. And then, she's got this pressure, I feel like, from her family and friends. And I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how the two of them, I'm nervous about them too. It all seems good at some point, but I don't know. I still think that Joey, I don't know. I think that there's still stuff both of them need to work on. You know what I mean? I think Monica needs to work on being a bit more assertive and asking for what she wants, because this is a couple days before the wedding. And is this the first time you're bringing it up? And then, but also he needs to be, he needs to be more conscious of it. And it's this weird thing where I get the sense of some of the men like in this group are like this, where it's a little bit like, well, I'm not someone who tells people, I don't validate people, or that's not who I am. And it's like, yeah, okay. But part of all of this is growth. And if you want to be with this other person, you have to you have to approach things differently. You have to be willing and open.
Trust me, all these men want to be validated.
Yeah. But they don't seem to want to do anything to validate the other person. And I don't know, this whole thing, I hate it when people are like, just take me for who I am. It's like, it's not how it works. It's not how it works. So anyway.
You know, all these men, the way it's like when you point one finger at someone, you have three, four fingers, whatever,
3 fingers and a thumb. I don't know.
Yes. And it's true. Like, hello, you know, they're just all like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to start to get complicated because there's the Dave and Lauren stuff, and then there's the whole group stuff, and then there's the Ben and Sarah stuff. Ben and Sarah, I'm going to put them over here. Those are my notes. So, and then there's, So what should we start with?
Well, why don't we talk about Dave and Lauren, because they don't even participate in any of the other group stuff.
Good idea. Okay. I fucking hate Dave. Can I just say that? I hate him. He is a smug piece of shit. And Lauren deserves so much better.
Yeah, she gave him every chance. She put up with his bullshit for so long. And he's one of these people who everything that he's accusing her of, he's doing.
Yes.
You know, all of it. And, you know, he's just, it's almost like he's just trying to punish her. He's trying to say, you know, I really want to be with you, but, and it's like, no, you don't. You don't really want to be with her. Because if you did, you would be trying to understand. I mean, he tortured her, like not letting her meet any of his friends or family. His whole hang up about her having sex with someone a week before. I mean, all of it is just so insecure. That's so insecure.
So my question is this. This is what I was wondering. We have no outside validation or evidence that we know how Dave's friends feel, but we've heard a lot about Dave's sister, but we don't even really know.
We don't know if she really feels that way, or if she even cares.
Yeah, the whole time I was thinking, God, this sister is judgy and controlling, and what's going on here? And like, yeah, you're super judgy, David, and so she, and all this. And then all of a sudden it occurred to me, I'm like, but we don't know. All we know is his interpretation and how he's interpreted her to us. She could be like barely paying attention.
Yeah, and then the dad, what was it? The dad was like not even, because she's questioning, well, why haven't I met your dad? And he's said something about, oh, well, he's out of town or something. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Like you didn't plan in advance to have your family available for this taping in case you were you knew the schedule. You know that they said, look, make sure your family is available or however you want to be there to support you. Your friends or family are available during this time for filming. And what, his dad's just off on some trip. His sister is MIA. I mean, he could be lying about all of it.
Yeah. We don't know, because this is a very interesting pattern we saw with Dave, which is he would say something like, she would say, well, I haven't met your dad. Well, my dad's traveling. He's out of town. Then she says, oh, well, what about our wedding? Would he be able to come to our wedding? Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
He'll come to our wedding. That's no problem. You know, he supports me. I mean, my family's there for me. They'll support me no matter what I do. I mean, they won't listen to you or talk to you or anything, but they're supportive people. They support me. I mean, he talks out of both sides of his mouth. He will say something, someone will call him on his bullshit. Then he'll say, oh, yeah, you know, you're right. Then he'll reiterate the bullshit again. And then someone will call him on again. And then he'll get defensive. I mean, it's utterly exhausting. Utterly
that's exhausting. How you know it's all a lie, because if they supported you, they'd be here right now and they'd be talking with you, trying to figure out, you know, trying to help you sort this out, whatever. I think the bottom line is Dave's just not willing. He's not ready to commit.
No.
You know, Lauren is not quite the, you know, what he expected or wanted. He doesn't really know what he wants.
No, he has no idea what he wants.
And then he gets FOMO because everyone else is, you know, getting ready for their weddings and having a good time. And then he shows up at that party and then he sees Molly. And I love how Molly just dressed him down.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's back up for a second. So let's get to, so it opens up where it's the next morning from what we saw. Dave goes out with his friends. He never comes home. He, you know, he spends the night at his place and then she texts him the next day, and I guess they finally see each other in the afternoon or something. And
he's got quite a story.
Oh,
about
he's got
where
a
he's been that
story
night. Yeah.
about, and then
That
I fell back
makes no
asleep from
sense.
from 9 to 11. And then, I didn't realize. And then my phone died and blah, blah, blah.
And my
blah,
car
blah,
was across town. And I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Lies.
It feels very, very odd. But, and so apparently, because I guess Lauren got word that there were people from the pod at this bar. And apparently, according to Dave, someone said, "Hey, do you want to meet Molly?" And he's like, "No, I don't want, that would be wrong. I don't want to meet Molly." And then Lauren says, "Well, my parents are in town." And he of course is like, "Oh no, they're in town." And she's like, "Yeah." But he was like, but she was like, "I was prioritizing your friends last night. Remember? That's what our evening was supposed to be." And it's even in this, he then goes into this whole thing about how he's like worried about what people are going to say. And I'm worried about this conversation with your mom or your parents. And she's like, and then of course, Lauren's like, "Well, okay, let's workshop it." So there's Lauren working with him, helping him process her, she wants to make it work with him, and she's doing all of this work. It's making me crazy. And then they go meet her mom, Kim, and she asks him, "Well, why did you want to do this? What was your thinking?" "Well, a lot of my friends started having kids, and it seemed like a lot of fun."
And he's like, "I want a kid." He said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good answer.
Okay, great.
Good answer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember. The mom, you can see with her mom, Kim, you can see how Lauren is the way she is. She's very grounded, and the mom is very grounded. Like the way the mom was, she was just very much like, "Okay, hey, this is unconventional. This is weird. You got to respect that my husband doesn't want to be on camera. This is what makes relationships work." She gives them some advice, and that's it. She was very much very straightforward. And then Dave, Lauren's father, doesn't want to be on camera. And then Dave weaponizes that later on with his fight with Lauren. Do you know what I mean about the fact that Lauren's father wouldn't be on camera? And it's a little bit, he uses that as an excuse. It's like, oh, Dave. As an excuse of why his family doesn't want to be on camera. And Lauren's like, wait a second, this isn't the same thing.
No, it's not the same.
Drove me nuts.
He doesn't want his family on camera. Mm-hmm. Lauren would like her dad to come on camera, but is respecting that he doesn't want to. Dave is purposefully keeping them away because he doesn't want to commit. He doesn't want to be with her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to look like a jerk on television.
Yes.
I think he knew long ago, probably in Honduras, if not sooner, that he did not want to be with her. And he has just been sabotaging it and looking for excuses ever since. And it's so obvious.
Yeah. I mean, well, then we learn this whole new lie and this I think was also very troubling, which is they go bowling and then they start to get into their relationship as they're eating nachos at the bowling alley. So they decide, okay, let's go to a cold movie theater and have this conversation. So he goes into this whole thing about his sister. My sister has high expectations of me, and my sister was so worried about me going on the show. And then, I finally kind of convinced her that nothing would happen. And, I told her I wouldn't get married. And then, but my sister won't meet you and I'm so torn what to do and it's just like, dear God, you're now telling us you're a big fat liar yet again because
you didn't really want to get married.
You didn't want to get married. Hold on. You didn't want to get married. Here? If you knew your family was going to have so many issues with this and you are quote unquote so close to your family, then you purposely went on the show and still did it. You then lied to the people about that. And then you lied to Lauren it's just like you've been lying to everybody.
Yeah.
Oh no, I won't get married. I'll get married. And then he tells the story of and then when I went, I said, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm going to get married. And it's like, dear God, you're working out your mommy issues on poor Lauren in this. And where's Dave's mom? Is she not around? Why does the sister have so much power? She's gone?
She died.
Okay. Yeah. She died. I didn't realize. Sorry. Like, okay, so this
That's
is why
why
the
he
sister
has the issues.
with his sister, and this is why the sister's opinion sort of has replaced almost his mother's
She's
opinion.
his surrogate
Okay,
mother.
okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
But you know what? I still don't believe it. I don't believe Dave's sister is this crazy. I just don't.
I really hope she makes a TikTok and comes
hope
out.
she comes on the reunion,
Yes.
to explain. I mean, yeah. I mean, this poor woman, she's been villainized on TV by him.
Yeah.
Like she's some kind of possessive control freak.
Yeah. Well, and this whole thing with this different interpretation, well, this guy has a different interpretation of what happened. And basically he gets in Lauren's face about the fact that he feels like, well, you didn't break up with him. And he thought you guys were still dating this whole time. And like basically blaming Lauren for not quite understanding this other guy's feelings, if that is really true.
Mm-hmm.
But basically what Dave is accusing Lauren of disappearing or going off somewhere, ghosting a casual hookup. And that but she thought that it wasn't serious. So she didn't think she had to, but this guy did. But this is all Lauren's fault. Again, we talked about this last time, all this slut shaming. It's a lot of slut shaming. I mean, did you sleep with him 2 days before? Did you do this? Did you do that? It's like, Dave, please.
Yeah. And then when she turns it around, she says, well, when did you last have sex before coming on the show?
I don't know.
He couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And it's like, please, men remember exactly every time that they've ever had sex. He knows exactly when. It was probably 2 days before. Even if he was accusing her.
It was probably, I mean, it could have been a couple weeks before, but he keeps.
What's the difference?
There is no difference. There is no difference.
It could have been 2 months before. There's no difference. It's like they weren't. God, I'm not even going to go into Dave's crazy thinking. We need to get. Oh, wait. This guy at the reunion.
Yes.
We need to settle this for once and for all to get justice for Lauren.
Justice for Lauren. Okay, this is what it is. And I don't know, because I just was looking at my notes. I don't know if I said this last time or not, but, people that are very, very jealous, always be wary of partners who are jealous.
Or accuse you of cheating.
That accuse you of cheating because they are cheating.
Exactly.
They tend to cheat. It's always like a red flag. If I hear with couples, I'm always like, and I'm going to tell you something. Can't tell you how many times I've been right. So here's the thing. Dave doesn't trust, he's saying, I don't trust you, Lauren. Dave doesn't trust Lauren in this situation because this is exactly something Dave would do. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dave had done it.
Totally.
He can imagine being in a casual relationship with someone and ghosting them and not giving a shit. And that's why he can see Lauren. And I think he knew, and he did it to other women and he did it and he was crappy about it and he knows it. So that's what he's basically saying. This is who you are, Lauren.
Exactly. We have your number, Dave. We have your number.
Yeah.
We know you.
Lauren did start to call him on his shit. And then he goes into this whole thing of like, well, before I introduce you to my good friends and family to you, as if these people are that Lauren's some kind of peon or something like that Lauren should feel so lucky to be introduced to his. Well,
and also, can I say, as he's torturing her with all of this stuff, he tells somebody later at that get together, I can't remember who, that basically he had to break up with Lauren. He didn't want to, and he was hoping that she would do it.
Yeah, or it'd be more mutual.
Right. And so that's what he was doing. He was just going at her so that she would break up with him so he wouldn't look like the bad guy. And he completely admitted that. And that's exactly what he was doing. And good for Lauren for making him, be the one to pull the plug. And she was very dignified about this whole thing.
She was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing where he finally basically says, I don't think my family's going to change their minds about this whole thing. He takes zero accountability because at the core, he kept saying to her, I can't. I'm sorry. If someone gives you this excuse of I can't do this, I can't do that, you can do anything. You can do most things. If you want to lose weight, you can lose weight. If you want to make more money, you can make more money. Like, there are things that you can do. And especially this, he has complete control over this because this other person wants to be with him. So it's a bunch of, but the fact that he keeps putting it on his family.
Yeah.
If I was that family, I would be pissed. And then this is the kicker. Lauren spent a bunch of time writing Dave's sister a long letter. This is who I am. This is how I feel about Dave. See me. He never gives it to her. Never gives it to the sister. So that made me think. That really made me think, like, I don't know if your sister knows what's going on here. And I don't even know if you have a sister.
I was just going to say, does anyone check? Does he actually
do we even know this, if he has a sister? I mean, it's unbelievable. She spent all this time writing this letter. And you know that she said to him, hey, do you think it would be helpful if I wrote this letter? She probably spent hours upon that letter and knowing he was never going to give it to her. This guy he's like a scammer. He is like one of those Tinder swindler scam guys that like scams
Dirty
you
John.
until you realize like, oh, he doesn't have $5 million to buy this penthouse.
Yeah.
You know, he sent me all around looking at penthouses for no apparent reason.
And now everyone in America knows about this guy. So good luck finding a girlfriend.
So this whole thing leaves. She just gets up and go. And I'm like, good. Because I kept worrying that she was going to keep digging in and taking care of him and doing this and doing that. And I was like, oh, good. So then the big group date happens. So all the couples except for Dave and Lauren that are together, I have to say that place looked really fun. That like
that inner
tubing down a hill. I was like, oh, that looks so fun. But we don't have stuff like that here.
We don't have snow.
You'd have to go to Tahoe to get that.
Psych Legal Pop will be right back after these messages.
Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, you know, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
But yeah, I was like, oh, that looks so fun. So they're all having a great time. And then that moves into everyone from the pods are coming back together at this bar, getting together. And so the first conversation was between Molly and Lauren. And Molly's now Lauren's ride or die.
Mm-hmm.
And Molly knows who Lauren is because my guess is that she knew that Lauren could have been really awful to her.
Mm-hmm.
She knew Lauren could have been mean or cruel, and she wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And Molly loves her now. I'd like to see Molly and Lauren dating show. But Molly then admits, she said, yeah, did you hear? I saw Dave the other night. And she said, yeah, I heard about that. And she said, and Molly says, like, I didn't really want to meet him, but there was a girl all over him at the bar. And she felt like, I felt like you needed to know that. I didn't know what was going on with you guys. So, that's interesting. Do you think maybe he hooked up with that girl?
Probably.
Yeah. So and hands down the best line of the night. Molly goes, you know what? He really wasn't that great. And this is did you see those selfies of him on Instagram? This is hands down for women. This is the moment when you get together with that other woman where the two of you have been fighting over some guy and the both of you realize the guy's a numbnut and he's a fucking idiot. And we are so much better than this.
Yeah. They dodged a bullet.
Yeah. Both you ladies dodged a bullet for sure. For sure. Oh, yeah. And then Britt and Devin talk and meet, but nothing really happens. They just kind of have a chat. I didn't really write
No.
anything
Well, do you
down. It
know
wasn't
that
very interesting.
she ended up, they didn't show this. She ended up matching with someone on the show.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I guess they didn't choose them to go to Honduras, obviously. But I think they dated for a while, but then I think they broke up.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, yeah, nothing, there's really no there. But,
Yeah, that was nothing. And then Dave shows up. Ugh, and all the guys hug him. And then
wasn't
Dave's
Lauren there first?
she got there first, and she had those conversations with Molly first.
Right. And then Dave comes and
so
everything comes down.
and here's the thing. It's like Dave is very worried about his image.
Mm-hmm.
And he came that night to rehab his image. I think that they had a conversation and maybe Lauren said, I'm going to go, thinking, because she said, I don't think Dave's coming. Like Lauren, I think, but he's got to go rehab his image. Now, this is where things start to get kind of interesting and odd. And I wish we had more information. So Madison shows up. And then right after Madison shows up, Meg and Mason show up together.
And they're dating.
Yeah. And so apparently Meg says that she, right after the pods, like the minute she got her phone back, she reached out to Mason and was like, hey, what's going on? And I guess they started talking and now they are dating.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some controversy that kind of got dropped. So then, Madison. Madison gets there and Madison's so pissed and she's shooting daggers at Molly. And
why is she mad at Molly?
Oh, no, sorry, Meg.
Meg.
She's shooting daggers at Meg and who was it that she was telling? She was like so happy that she and Mason didn't end up together. And then Alex shows up. And this whole thing is very weird, the story that Madison's talking about. Okay, so this is what I think happened. So Madison says that after Alex rejected her, and she really felt like Alex rejected her simply because he felt like she was too much. I mean, that's kind of what she was saying, that she said she would have bad days or struggles, but okay. And he seemed to be scared of that. And apparently they run into each other. Alex reaches out to her because he saw what she looked like and was like, oh crap, oh no. And so he asked Madison to stay with him in LA. She said no. Alex and Madison continued to talk here and there. And then apparently in the midst of all of this, Meg starts messaging Alex because Alex claims that Meg was liking a bunch of his photos. I don't understand. She's saying that Alex is trying to pit Meg and Madison against, or Alex is spreading rumors. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
I think this is just Madison stirring up shit. She thought she was going to be the breakout star of this season.
Mm-hmm.
And, we went through all that bullshit with that foursome. She ended up with nobody and ended up with nobody outside of, the show. I think she's desperate. She seems just desperate for attention. The whole time she was talking and telling this story, my eyes were glazing over. It was like, who cares? Why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You're not even on this show. You're just, I don't like her. And I don't care. I think she's just looking for attention. She just couldn't stand the fact that she, didn't hook up with someone. And she thought she was going to go all the way on this show. I really do.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think she was feeling pretty good about herself when she had these two men sort of fighting over her.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure she was shocked, as we were, that she walked away with no one. And I think that, Madison, I think especially women like Madison, who are really beautiful, much like that girl from last time that left with Leo, like these women who are really beautiful. It's this weird thing where I think they're like, well, so I'm always judged by my looks. So now Love is Blind, they won't know how good I look. And that someone will fall in love with me for me. But they are also very cognizant of the fact that they're gorgeous and that they're going to have some power over these men. I think that Madison's very used to using her sexuality and the way she looks as a way of controlling men.
Totally.
And this was not, she could not control them. She could not control Alex. Alex then sees her and she's I don't know. She's got a lot to work on. I don't know what's going on with this Alex, but this whole thing felt very high school and very messy. And I'm like,
it really did.
Meg is trying to create rumors with this person and that. It's like, but I thought they seemed very happy with Mason, and Meg seemed happy together. I don't know.
No, this is all a figment of Madison's imagination. Because remember, Alex broke up with her because she was just too much.
Yeah.
And I don't think no matter how beautiful she is, no guy wants that. If it's too much, it's too much. It's not worth it, no matter how hot she is. So I thought that was real boring.
Anyway, I was just kind of like, I was trying to write it all down. Like, what's happening here? Like,
it's not worth even remembering.
I know. I wasted too much time. I was like rewinding. I'm like, so what's happening now?
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
So the final one was Molly. So Molly and Dave talk. Mm-hmm. And she calls him. I mean, I was like, oh, Molly, he's not going to take this well. But she calls him on all his bullshit. He gets super defensive. And of course, he reacts how he did. And then he acquiesces a bit with her. Like, he kind of realizes, like, I can't keep getting so defensive. But he doesn't want to hear any of this stuff, Molly. But this is the best. So he said to Molly, my sister told me that she would not approve of anyone that I got engaged to. I'm like, so on the show.
So why are you here again? Why are you here?
And then, and also, why are you shocked that your sister won't meet you? Like, your sister told you exactly what it was, and then you went and did something, and you're now expecting a different result. Again, my new theory is just like Ben, those are not Ben's friends, and Dave does not have a sister. And I bet you anything he dropped the sister in as his way of getting out of all this. I think this was his escape hatch the whole time.
Yeah. I hope this all comes out.
I do too.
I hope it comes out somewhere. If not in the reunion on TikTok or something. People are out there furiously working on this story. So I'm going to sit back and wait. But this is not as it all seems, for sure.
Yes.
And so then at this party, Dave kind of cozies up to Lauren and talks about how he wants to hug her. He misses her. This, that. He's trying to get back in. And I was like, oh, no. And luckily she was like, no, no. Thank God.
Yeah. I think that, what was I going to? I think that I was a little nervous there because she was like, oh, do you want to go and talk? I'm like, oh God, Lauren, don't do any more work for this man.
Don't go to a second location.
Yes.
Never go to a second location.
So, but when they just moved over to the side and he was talking to her and she was just kind of like nodding her head, I'm like, okay. I think that she, I think something snapped or something shifted for her. I just get the sense like something really shifted for her, where when she was like, this guy isn't gonna defend me.
Probably because as soon as they broke up and she had about a day or so or a day or two apart from him, she was all of a sudden she was like, wow, I don't feel miserable anymore.
Yeah, probably.
I'm happy. I can be happy all by myself. I don't need this.
Yeah.
So long, Dave.
Oh God!
Yeah,
we're gonna have to see Dave one more time.
We're gonna have to see Dave again, and we're gonna have to go through this painful with the Lachey's, questioning him, and it's like nobody cares. No one cares anymore. It's like can we just move on?
But unless they find out the sister's not real, then I care.
I hope. Yeah, I hope the sister get the sister on the. Let's settle this. Anyway.
Okay. That was that. Okay. So now let's talk about Ben and Sarah. Because we start off with them sort of talking about the TikTok situation with this girl. Mm-hmm. And have we announced this, that so far it's come out that that woman lied?
That's what I saw on TikTok. I mean, of course, for whatever it's worth, but I saw something where, she admitted that she exaggerated the whole thing and the timeline didn't match up. And so, maybe Ben didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Ben is innocent of this, but not of some other things. So the next big scene is they're at this bar and they're going to meet Lisa, Sarah's sister, and Lisa's wife, partner, Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both kind of coming in skeptical of the relationship. Kelsey's very straightforward with what she thinks and how she feels. And again, I don't think that Ben did not know the classic lesbian U-Haul joke.
Oh, yeah.
Hence, you do not have lesbian friends.
No.
Because that is the most classic lesbian joke ever. How do you not know the U-Haul joke?
Well, because, I don't think Ben interacts a lot with that community.
No, he doesn't with those people. Those people. Even though he drove the lesbian home we learned about last time.
Was she a confirmed lesbian?
Yeah, she said she's gay. I told you all those people were there.
No. But the one who was gay is not the one that he drove home. That was the other girl.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
I thought she was the one and they were talking about church together. And
no, the lesbian was the other girl. Kind of brownish, reddish hair. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, sorry.
He was trying to cover all the bases. So he had a separate gay friend and then a separate, multicultural.
Yes. Yes.
And
he was trying to check all the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're back to the same thing. And Kelsey, Rightly, and Lisa, basically are kind of saying the same things that we're all saying, that we've been saying about Ben, which is he's privileged. And he doesn't even get how privileged he is because he does not have to think about anything ever.
Mm-hmm.
So he has never thought about these things. And I don't know. I found what Kelsey was saying about acceptance and, this whole idea about church and, does your church accept, all different kinds of people? And Kelsey's like, I hate that. I hate that I have to be accepted by you.
Right.
And just all of it. They were saying that to Ben and Ben's like, oh, I love that. I'm like, oh, dear God, Ben.
Ben, she just called you out saying that you shouldn't. No, this, thank God Kelsey was there. She really drilled down and she really brought up, just how much Ben does not understand about this.
Yes.
And also so then the overall theme of this period, prior to the weddings was that Sarah starts to really have doubts about Ben's religious views and whether or not his religion truly would be a friendly, safe space for her and her family. And she goes to a service at his church.
Yes.
And, just looking at her body language and the look on her face, she looked pretty uncomfortable.
Yes.
At what was being said.
And of the church service that we saw, she had a very defensive posture. Her arms were crossed. From what we saw, the pastor was like, I wish more people would be into Jesus. I feel bad that I'm not getting more people to come here to worship Jesus.
It was kind of an empty church. The church was
they were upstairs. It seemed like there was there was a bunch of people because they were way up in the top.
Yeah, but I looked down on the bottom level.
Oh, I thought a lot of seats were filled.
Full.
Okay. Well, what I love about this, because in my mind, when I think about, because we weren't raised with religion, it all seems so foreign to me, like this way of thinking and being. But I try to think about listen, I follow therapists and other people that I think are interesting and good speakers and researchers and, Brene Brown and people that talk about these kinds of things. And I'm like, this is not different than what this pastor is doing. But the problem is that this pastor, all we heard you talk about, you didn't give us any information. You didn't give us any aha moments.
Granted, this was.
I know it's just for 5 minutes.
We only heard the pastor talk for 15 seconds.
Oh, I felt like I got a lot of what he was saying, which was a lot about how I need to get more people into Jesus. That was essentially what he said. Well, that just kind of felt like it was it felt like a sales call. That's what it felt like to me.
Okay.
That's all.
But later in the show, she she says that, she watched one of the sermons online, and it was about, the LGBTQIA community. And again, it was sort of, this message was, well, we have to tolerate these people or accept these people. And she was very upset by that. It went back to this whole thing. It's like, why are we even separating these people out as anything other than just, we're all humans, living together. And she was disturbed by that video.
And it is. Well, it's also disturbing in that same, because they went glamping or whatever. It was very disturbing in that too, because she asks him some very direct questions like, is your church, are they accepting? If we came and said our child is gay, what would happen? And he's like, God, I don't know. I don't really know, which makes me think that he does know. Because, and again, we're back to the same thing. It's very layered. It's like, yeah, Ben, this is your privilege, showing that the fact that you've never had to wonder and worry about these things. But on top of that, because you've never had to wonder or worry, you have no idea what you're affiliated with. And quite frankly, it doesn't seem like you care. Because, if he really cared, he'd be trying to get the answer for her.
Well,
right?
he did bring up that they had talked about that in the past in their church about, what happens if you have a child and they're part of that community. And again, it sort of all seemed to come back to, okay, well, I guess we have to tolerate that, but there's not full embracing of it.
No.
And they try to dance around it and they use these words, but Sarah's picking up on it.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah's picking up on it. And even Sarah, who to me seems like a lapsed Catholic, I guess, she clearly does not. Here's the bottom line. This is the thing. This is something that drives couples apart all the time. They have completely different religious views or, world views, spiritual religion, whatever you want to call it. And she's looking at this and thinking, okay, am I going to go to this church for the rest of my life? Even if I don't go every Sunday? Because she talks about, well, I can go, I'm not going to go every week, but I can go on holidays. Do you even really want to go on holidays? If you don't fundamentally feel comfortable there, why would you want to go just because it's Christmas or Easter or whatever?
Well, yeah. I think that video, right? She talks about that because there's a few things that she says that she talks about the videos, and she said, they did broach the subject of sexuality, and they said something like the answer was, well, desires are different than actions. And that the example that they gave was, well, if your kid comes home and says, I'm fat, I'm going to do all these things to lose weight, you would tell your kid, no, don't go on some sort of starvation diet. And I, like Sarah, said, that's the worst analogy. That is the worst example of anything I've ever heard. That makes zero sense. And then she asks him, she said, would you be open to joining a different kinds of church? And she's a little bit like, and she finally says, how do you not know what their stance is on gay marriage or sexuality? And then this is what Ben says. Ben says, the church just wants to be a positive, wholesome place. They want to focus on the things that pertain to everybody. Again, Ben, human rights pertain to everybody.
Right.
People being accepted for who they are pertains to everybody. This pertains to everybody. Because quite frankly, you know what this is? Ben doesn't like the fact that Sarah is like making him go deep and think about things that he doesn't want to have to think about. And that's why, people tend to, I don't want to make a blanket judgment, but this is why people push these things away, or they make these comments like, oh, I'm not homophobic, or I'm not racist, or I don't have a racist bone in my body, or whatever it is. It's like, they're not willing to look at their own stuff and their own biases and their own crapola for one moment, because he would have to then admit that this church doesn't believe in that.
Yeah, he's just been indoctrinated.
Yeah,
he's towing the party line. He's repeating the lines that he's heard over and over and over again in church. And I really wonder if he's gone to this church since he was a child, or if this is something that he came to as an adult. Because I kind of feels like, because, he has those friends. One of the friends who was at the friends meeting was at the church with him.
I'm like, oh, so they got him another day rate.
So I guess that's his church friend.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of wonder, like, how he came about being in this church. I don't know if he always did. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, she's looking at him thinking, I don't know about this.
No, I wrote down, Sarah isn't sold.
No.
Because Ben says, I have not thought about this stuff. And Sarah's
just like he didn't think about George Floyd. I mean, hello.
Yes. Yes.
And didn't she bring that up to her sister and her partner?
Oh God, I don't remember.
I think she did. I think when they first got together, or it was a time Ben was not there.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And they were talking, I don't know, maybe I'm getting confused. But anyway, I mean, yeah, no, Sarah is on to him. Mm-hmm. She is kind of in this place where she's like, yeah, I like this guy. We're having fun. We're glamping. We're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to go to this church ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
also Kelsey, I thought, and this is the first time this has ever come up with this show. Definitely directly said on the show. I'm sure people have talked about this, but Kelsey said something about because Sarah really wants their blessing and their Lisa and Kelsey's approval.
Mm-hmm.
And Lisa, of course, is like, well, what do you mean by blessing? But Kelsey says, it's very hard to buy into an experience, an experiment that we can't participate in.
Mm.
And I think she's also bringing up something that is important to remember and think about, which is that, there is no love is blind for Kelsey. And that is right. Like, I get it. I get why they'd be annoyed. Anyway.
What do you mean that they're not a part of, like, what?
Well, because it's a heterosexual dating show. They could do, which I think they should.
Version. Yeah.
I think that would be great to see that. But I mean, again, I just think that it's this. I don't know. You can see, and this may be very stupid for me to say, but it just you can see that it's hard. It's hard to be gay in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think the two of them have had to really fight.
It's hard to be gay anywhere.
It is, period.
And
but I think it's very hard to be gay in Minnesota. And I get the sense that they've really felt like they've had to want to have their voice heard. That's all. That was my sense from her. She wanted to say what she wanted to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
where are we now?
Well, I think we've gone through all the couples, right? So now we're getting into like the
weddings,
the pre-wedding stuff, the dress shopping, the bachelor. I mean, we can talk a little bit about the dresses, I guess. The guys, they have their,
like, who cares? Did you notice that Ben's groomsmen were those two white guys?
Oh, the one guy from church wasn't?
The one guy from church wasn't there at all. Oh. His other friend of color, I don't remember. He isn't in the wedding, but he was there. And I know that Ben has a brother.
His brother was
there. But it was like, oh, these people look like your friends, Ben. That's interesting. That's interesting. We have not met these guys yet until now. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay.
So, okay. So the dresses, we talked about Taylor's dress, very princess-like.
Sarah's was very pretty. I feel like they knew what was what because those dresses fit them like gloves.
Mm-hmm.
A week before the wedding, that just seemed too easy.
And they didn't try more than one on.
Yeah, I think maybe they got complaints or something. Yeah, I think people got annoyed, myself included. I hate the wedding dress shopping stuff. So they really cut it down.
Well, I liked everybody's dress.
Yeah.
I thought everybody's dress was beautiful. They all looked gorgeous.
Who was the second one that came out? Was that Taylor?
Oh, it was
or Sarah.
What's her name? Sarah had the one with the big slit up the side. And then
oh no, was that Monica? Did Monica have the
sorry.
Okay, so Monica came out,
up the side.
Uh-huh.
Sarah had that kind of lacy, really fitted with the straps that you could wear up or down. And then Virginia had a very sparkly, similar dress with the straps that came down on the arm, more poofy and sparkly. I mean, they all look gorgeous. They look like they had their perfect dress already like fitted and ready to go.
It's so funny too, because all the men are wearing like no socks and t-shirts,
Hawaiian shirts.
And then we see Daniel. He's in a tux. He's ready to go.
He's James Bond.
He is.
Yeah. Well, and Devin had a more traditional look, but Joey had the more casual, beachy kind of thing. But so then they have the guys went to the Vikings football practice field and threw some balls around. And one thing I do have to say about Ben, he's quite athletic. He was the only one who could kick a field goal and and do get the football in the right place. But, they did that. And then I can't remember. What did the girls do?
God. They went to the Mall of America dressed like old women.
Like old ladies.
I'm like, you guys, if I would have banged my head against the wall before I did this, I'm going to tell you this right now. I would be so annoyed if I was forced to do this. Well, First off, I hate dressing up.
I kind of thought it was funny, but then I kind of felt offended because it's like, they're probably like, oh yeah, we look like a bunch of 50-year-olds. So I'm like,
oh no.
Yeah. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah. That Mall of America, that looked kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, they said this is what we're famous for. I've never been to Minnesota, but Mall of America.
Mall of America. So yeah. And then we went when they had their last dates or whatever.
Yeah, that was when Sarah and Ben went glamping, and Danielle and Sarah went ice skating, and Devin was in the horse-drawn carriage and all that kind of stuff.
And then Joey and Sarah went to that beautiful conservatory. That was gorgeous. Yeah, I kind of fast-forwarded through a lot of that because it was a lot of just like talking. And
that's
enough already.
It's a lot, but that's a bit of what's flawed about this show is that it's a lot of talk. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of talk, like a lot of talking about things and nothing ever doing and being.
I know. I would like to see them be dating longer and doing things like getting together with family, getting together with friends. Like
I'd like to see the two of you go to the grocery store and budget. Like, if you really want to see
your house, go to IKEA.
Yeah. Oh God.
A trip to IKEA could really test a marriage.
Yes. Yeah. Like, have them go to Costco. Here's a day. Like with two screaming kids.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I want to see. That's going to tell you more. That's the thing. This is why a lot of these don't work. I mean, it's a flawed
fantasy.
We've all talked about how this is a flawed proposition and how all this doesn't work. But like, if you really, really want to test this theory, and if it's truly an experiment, change up the experiment. And let's see what happens if you really make people do the mundane shit of being married. Yeah. Because that's it. If you enjoy going to Target with your partner on a Saturday night, that's all you need. That's a great marriage. That's because you'll always be happy.
Yeah. And then try to like build some IKEA furniture together.
Oh God. Yeah. Register for gifts. Oh God. When Steve and I were doing that, planning a wedding will make you crazy. But, I'm trying to think, what are some other things that like really test your relationship? Maybe buying a house or making a big purchase.
Yeah. I don't know. Just kind of, like having to, don't make them go glamping. Make them go camping in a little tent with a little Coleman stove and a lantern and a couple sleeping bags.
Make them go cross country with each other in an RV.
Exactly. Or not even an RV. That's too comfortable. In a car, in like a 2-seater car or something.
Yeah.
You have to drive cross country and, plan the trip yourself and figure everything out yourself and do everything. Yeah, that would be much more interesting, but that's not this show.
No.
So start our first wedding.
Yes, with Ben and Sarah.
Yes. And
I didn't really look at the venue. I couldn't see the venue very well. You were always paying attention to the venue. So this time I'm like, okay, I better look at what's going on here.
Well, I think because it's Minnesota and it's so cold there. I mean, although this was in March, so it was kind of on the verge of spring, sort of, kind of. So it looked like it was a venue that was mostly indoors, you know, for the weather, for climate control. It was nice. You know, and Sarah's the first one. Looks happy.
Yeah. Well,
She's
at this point she does, but
yeah, she's very giddy. She's very happy. She's getting her hair done. Her sister's there and her, and Kelsey's there. They're getting their hair done.
And her mom. What's her mom's name?
I don't remember.
Didn't catch that.
This is the first time we've seen her mom. And then this was interesting. Her stepfather, who I guess kind of raised her, because he talks as though he raised her.
They call him Andy.
Yeah, but there's no dad there that I saw. So I think maybe that her father's not, I don't know what happened to her father, but I feel like this guy Andy is like her father. He raised her because they seem to be very close, and they can joke with each other. And
Andy seems like a good guy.
Andy's a good guy. But then there's a point where her sister kind of pulls her to the side and says, you know, I really want you to do what you want to do. You make this decision based upon what you want, not what anybody else wants.
Yeah. Because she and Kelsey at one point, this was the best scene, was the two of them are like, we're really not drunk enough for this. And so we watched the two of them like drink, and then they're staring at each other. And they say, they're like, we don't want her to say yes because she feels like she has to, you know, that she's a people. So I guess it sounds like Sarah can be a bit of a people pleaser. And so Lisa's worried that her people pleasing is going to get her to say yes. But Sarah does. And this was the most raw moment of the entire thing. Sarah does say, my heart is saying yes, but my brain is telling me I don't know. And I think that's what it is. I think that right now she loves him and she's having fun and she enjoys him and all of that. But her brain is going, this is going to become this is going to be a huge goddamn issue.
In the back of her head, she's thinking about that church thing.
Yeah.
She's thinking about the fact that this guy is not interested in George Floyd.
Yeah. Doesn't pay attention to Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Doesn't think about gay marriage.
She's rewinding, going back. And I think all these little things that she pushed aside because it was fun and it was romantic. And, you know, she was all caught up in that. Now all these things are coming to the front of her mind.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you ever had friends that had really different political views? I don't know if I've ever had a friend or a couple that had very different political views that were able to make a marriage or get married or stay together. I don't know if I've ever known.
Think of. And honestly, I don't really have any friends that have different political views because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be around it. I know the whole thing is, we all got to talk to each other and understand each other. And it's like, well, but then you end up just getting into these arguments with people. And I don't want to do that because most people really can't have an intelligent, well thought out debate about policy. Okay. Because that's the thing. If you want to debate about policy, that's fine. If you about tax policy, you know, any kind of policy, I don't have a problem with that, but that's not what people want to talk about. They want to talk about the people and the personalities and make generalizations and these people and those people. And that's like, there's no point in doing that. You're not going to change anyone's mind and you just get upset. And so I don't tend to really be around people like that.
Okay. I'm trying to think too.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know any, I went to school on the East Coast. So like prior to that, I didn't really know any Republicans. And then I went to this school on the East Coast and I met Republicans. Now, these were the days of the George Bush Republicans, first Bush. You know, it was a little different back then. I don't know how those friends are today. I haven't not asked. But yeah, I'm just thinking, because I always think of that James, what is it? James Carville.
James Carville and Marlee Matlin.
Is that Marlee Matlin? Isn't she the one that, the deaf woman? Is it Marlee Matlin? Isn't she the one that was with William Hurt?
It's oh yeah, you're right. It's something similar to that. It's
yes. But
it starts with an M.
But that was what was right when those two got together. That was the big thing. Oh, they're from different sides and they're a couple. And how do you make this work? And I think besides them, I don't think I've ever heard of another couple like that.
But they were a couple who they had differences in policy and they could talk intelligently about it. Because I've seen them on TV talking about it. The conversation that happens now is, is completely different. Like the dialogue is just all like, deport everyone and let do this. You know what I'm saying? It's like we've always had intelligent political discourse, and I can engage in that.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I don't know if it's where we live or that has a lot to do with it. But I don't know.
It is true though, but I think that things are. What was I going to say? You're right that policies are one thing. I think. How do I say this? It's like right now, some of the issues that we're getting into are really about that back to that human rights thing of like, Ben. This you haven't thought about this, but you need to think about this because this is about a person's right to be who they want to be. And I personally have hit a wall with that. Like there's got to be a point where we've got to be human. We've got to be humane with each other. That we've got to have some humanity, and that if you're okay with somebody rounding someone up and putting them on a bus and shipping them out, then I'm not okay with that, and I don't care what you know.
Yeah, it's Mary Madeline.
Mary Madeline. Thank you.
That was close. MM.
Yes. but I knew.
No, it was very close. It's been a long time. Been a long time since we've seen those two.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're still married.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Did they break? I think they broke up. See, no one can make it work when they have different political views.
Well, they might have broken up for different reasons, but
yeah. So at the very end, we meet Ben's mom and grandma, and oh God, these people, they are quite religious.
Oh yeah, they're praying over him, and they have a prayer. They talk about how they've been praying for him, and
that it's in God's hands now, and it's like, oh, they're
serious.
They're serious. Mom and grandma, very serious about God. So I wrote down, they're really into God. So. This is the other thing too, is are they going to be okay with Sarah not going to church?
No.
Because it seems like everybody there goes to church.
Not.
No,
they're not going to be okay with it. They're going to want their grandchildren to be baptized.
That's right. The grandchildren. Yeah. So what happens with these grandkids? Yeah, this is a big thing. I've had clients over the years, and I had a client whose boyfriend was more religious. They ended up breaking up, but for different reasons. But that was her big concern, was they had been together for a while, but she was very much like, I don't want to go to church every Sunday, and I don't want my kids to have to go. Like she was just kind of like, I don't, and that was a big issue. So anywho, and then it ends on a cliffhanger. She walks down the aisle, and that they got the worst pastor known to man, whomever was marrying them. He looked terrible.
Like he was missing half of his teeth.
I was
where did they find this guy?
The same casting agency where they found Ben's friends. They were like, oh shoot, we forgot to secure.
We need a pastor
or a reverend or someone. I don't know. We need to secure someone. This guy, great.
Yeah, well, and we see Ben's dad and stepmom, I guess, in the audience.
His parents are married. Oh, divorced. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was sitting with someone else.
Oh, interesting.
For the first time, and yeah, his dad didn't talk or anything, but he was there. And was there someone there from the cast? I don't remember.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, cliffhanger. Dun, dun, dun. We don't
All right. So we will be back next week with the weddings The only marriage that I can predict at this point is Daniel and Taylor.
Yeah, yes.
I kind of think the
shoo-in.
rest of them should say no. Virginia, Sarah. Sarah is the one I'm most concerned about.
Yeah.
Monica, I don't know. But I just don't think any of this is going to be good.
Yeah, we'll see. I noticed they do a lot of weird editing, because in these episodes, I saw stuff where they had shown clips where they had edited and you thought it was something else and it turned out to be different. It's like, oh, that's just... So they love to get you all in a tizzy about the editing. So
yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, boy. They need to come out to California or something. They need to come out to the Bay Area.
I saw an article the other day where they said like Los Angeles is like officially the worst place in the United States to date.
I can. I live there.
I don't know what it's based on, but yeah,
I'll tell you exactly right now.
Yeah,
because here's the thing: Los Angeles is a terrible place to date because everything's so spread out. So if you meet somebody that lives in a different part of town, geographically undesirable, you'll never see them again.
Yeah.
So you have to find, so now you've got to find people that you are going to be either you live near or work near. Okay. So there's that. Then you've got every beautiful, gorgeous person from their high school, from their small town flocks there to become a model or an actor. So the standard of beauty is very, very high. But the problem is that all of these, I'm sorry, dweeby guys think they all want that hot woman. And it's like, she's never going to be with you. Or if she, you know what I mean? It's like, there's a lot of guys who are constantly trying to date women that are really, out of your league. And so there's so much pressure all the time. And like everyone feels kind of crappy about themselves. Do you know what I mean? And even the people that are gorgeous, even the people that are gorgeous don't feel good about themselves because they're constantly being compared. And, the actors are being told to get thinner and thinner and thinner. It's like, it's full of a lot of really unhappy people. I will tell you that much. So,
yeah, I can believe that. And yeah, and the Bay Area I don't think it's that much better because, I mean, first of all, like for women, it's always been, sort of the joke that, there's not a lot of straight men. And then the men who are straight, they know they have a statistical advantage.
Yeah. There's a lot of Peter Pans out here. A lot of Peter Pans.
Yeah. So they really, I don't know, or they're just not that interested. They just, they never grow up. Like they want it all. They want to just have their cake and eat it too. And people aren't serious about it. I mean, we have this fantasy about how we think people in the Midwest are more family oriented. I don't know. We don't know. But it seems like they're more family oriented, want to settle down, have a family. Out here, people are like, I have plenty of time for that.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that now. And, usually you end up getting together with someone because someone gets pregnant or something. Like literally.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the other thing about around here is that there's a lot of money and there's a lot of tech money. And these tech jobs, though it's changed with COVID, but one thing is a lot of these tech jobs pay, and a lot of people will take these tech jobs because of this. Like Meta will pay up to like 7 or 8 rounds of IVF or 7 or 8 rounds of freezing your eggs. So I've had so many clients that were at Meta or Google or whatever these companies where they got a bunch of eggs frozen for free. And so they did that at like 30. And so now they're 37, 38. And they're like, well, I got these eggs. They're young. They're good eggs. So that's another one too, where I think for some women, they feel like they have a little bit more freedom. They can wait a little bit longer and it's all this stuff is available to people and it's there. But yeah, I don't know. I think I had an easier time dating in San Francisco than I did in LA, but some of that is just because of San Francisco is easier to navigate. It's much smaller.
Yeah.
People aren't so geographically undesirable the way they are in LA. And you're working all the time in LA.
Yeah. I just think in big cities, it's hard in general.
It is.
Because, you see someone and, unless you're real aggressive about getting their number or something, you'll never see them again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if you live in a smaller town, you might see the same person. Like if you're on the same kind of route, or you shop at the same time, or you're doing this or that at the same time, or you're showing up here, whatever. But, and that's why so many people, I think, end up meeting people at the gym, because you usually go to the gym at the same time. People have their
people meet at
routines. You go
work
at the same time every day. Yeah, at work.
Work is another one that, I mean, again, it depends on how big your office is and what that is. But yeah, I could see that at the gym.
Yeah.
But definitely I don't know. I've not been at a singles bar or a bar kind of scene in a long, long time, especially not without my husband. So I don't really know, but I don't know if people go to bars anymore to like meet people. I don't think so.
I don't think they really go to meet people. I think they go to hang out with their friends, and then they go to the dating apps to meet people. Because it's easy. I don't know. It's kind of because you're in a bar, it's loud, and you're with your friends, you want to talk to your friends. So I think it's just now it's all about the apps. No matter how old you are, I feel.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do we know what next city is? I mean, we'll find out on the reunion, but
I guess so. We'll find out at the reunion. I don't know.
I'm going to predict.
They haven't done anything on the East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, they could do Boston or Philadelphia. Those two. Boston would be great. Philly would be good. Either of those, I think, would be really good.
I feel like maybe I'm making this up, but I sort of feel like I did hear something about San Francisco being floated around. But I don't know. Who knows? We'll just keep watching this show no matter what.
Complain incessantly. I don't like any of these people. When's the next season starting?
Yeah. We're like, I hate all these people. What's the next city?
Yes, the show Love is Blind. And, I really love how Nick and Vanessa are really phoning it in. I swear, that not this drop of episodes, but the last drop of episodes, we see them. They're like, hello, welcome to the Minneapolis St. Paul. I swear to God, if they told me they were in front of a green screen, they're like, oh, we're not flying you there. You'll go there for the wedding dress shopping. But it just felt like, why are you even here? Why do you even need to be here? Just remind us there's hosts.
That was a green screen. And I barely noticed. I was just going to say, was Vanessa even at I barely noticed her.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much
they've really cut that down
for this? God.
Well, I think they're producers. So I think they're making money from this for sure. So.
Oh yeah. No, it's #1 show.
All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next week with episode 13, The Weddings. If you enjoy this show, we do a Tuesday show as well. We have 2 shows a week, and our Tuesday show is going to be, oh God, we discussed it.
I don't know if we've even totally decided. Just tune in.
Just tune in.
Just subscribe, hit subscribe, and it'll show up, and it'll be a big surprise.
Well, even to us.
Yes.
And if you want more content from us, go check out our Patreon, or you can subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. Go check us out on social media at Psych Legal Pop at Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I think that's it. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Stephen here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Stephen will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fanfellows wherever you get your podcasts.
Want to upskill in one of the most effective ad channels out there? With Acast Ads Academy, you can learn everything you need to plan and run podcast advertising campaigns completely free. Whether you're new to audio or ready to sharpen your skills, our self-paced courses fit your schedule and finish with an industry-recognized certification. So if you want to grow your expertise and stand out in a competitive industry, head to go.acast.com/academy.